Now you're listening to Fantastic Formosa with John Abrams in Taipei. Hey, welcome back to Fantastic Formosa with John Abrams. And today we invited Keith Perron, I believe that's pronunciation. Is that correct, Keith?
That's correct, yes.
No relationship to the Argentine president.
Who died a very long time ago, that's right.
Yeah, yes. But we'll call him the dictator of Argentina.
But I might break out into a rendition of Don't Cry For Me, Argentina.
That was Madonna. She sang that song, and it was a big hit in America.
Well, in the movie, but she wasn't the original singer of that song.
Well, really?
Yeah, that was only for the film. It was actually the song was a hit even before she did that.
My problem with her is she didn't retire early enough. Her plastic surgery has made her look, I don't know, monstrous.
Well, the thing, though, that's quite interesting is she actually sings better. After she did the movie, Evita, where she played the character of Evita Perron in the film, she actually became a better singer.
Okay.
Because to sing that kind of very grand Broadway-type song, she actually took vocal lessons. If you listen to Madonna's voice prior to that, and then after that, she became a good singer because of that film.
But what I'm talking about is her plastic surgery on her recent past year or so.
Oh, yeah.
She has plastic surgery, folks, is old people get it to make themselves look younger, but in many cases in Hollywood, plastic surgery can often make you look like Frankenstein or some
especially if it goes wrong. You know, this reminds me of, I think you probably remember this name. There was a singer by the name of Marlene Dietrich.
Oh, yes. She was beautiful.
And she was actually, the last years that she was performing.
Right.
She would actually use pins and paper clips to pull back the skin before going on stage and under the arms. So she looked as she did. And they said she was in a lot of pain, but you would never guess it. She was a professional.
She was putting needles
and pins to pull the skin back to make her look.
Back in her head, face, and neck, and they'd pull her skin back.
Yeah. And after she retired, she didn't want to see anybody anymore, except for really close family members, because she said she wanted the people to remember her how she looked. And there was never any pictures of her from when she retired to her death taken. The only image that people had is Marlene Dietrich, her last performance in London in the 1970s, looking as she did in the 1940s.
Wearing those needles and all that stuff.
Yeah, and she would not move on stage because everything then would fall apart. So she would pull it right back and,
So then she would go back to the makeup room and call the emergency response team.
Yeah, pull the pins but that's extreme. Anyway.
I think that's extreme, period. Today, people in Hollywood really work out. They have fitness instructors. They have chefs that make the perfect meals that are healthy. So back then they didn't do that, right? They didn't train. They didn't, prepare, keep themselves healthy.
Well,
they smoked and drank pretty heavy back then.
Well, a lot of them. Richard Burton, they all did. Oh,
but he looked good, man.
But if you take the thing is actually it's interesting. I was just reading something about this. Sean Connery, who was the originator on film of James Bond.
He was a weightlifter. Yeah,
well, but
that.
They said that his standard of beauty or masculinity then, they said if they were going to make James Bond today as a new film, they would never cast anybody who looked like him.
He's a man.
Well, he had a receding hairline.
Well, he was
that was
later.
Skinny. He wasn't really had muscles bulging from every part of his body.
He was a bodybuilder. He had won number 2 or 3 in UK one year.
I don't think it was Sean Connery. I think you're thinking somebody else.
No, Sean Connery.
Really?
Yeah, we're talking about
by the standards of then, he was skinny.
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, we didn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger till much later.
Yeah.
Then we realized that all these guys before, like John Wayne, who was a big man, or a football player, but still he had a beer gut. He had to have surgery on his face every 2 years. We thought that was the archetype of the perfect man.
Yeah.
The stoic.
Oliver Reed, Richard Burton, Richard Harris.
Oh, Richard Burton was fantastic. If you never watched Richard Burton, I guess, what would you recommend?
2 films. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold.
Yes, The Spy Who
by
Came In
John.
From the Cold.
The book is by John
Le Carre.
Mm-hmm. And Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? That he starred with his wife at the time, Elizabeth Taylor.
Well, they were married and divorced like 4 times, right?
Something like that. Yeah. But anyway.
We're here not to talk about Hollywood, though. We're here to talk about Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized after your last interview here that you ride motorcycles all over Taiwan. And I was shocked, even when you told me that in the morning sometimes, or maybe every day, that you sometimes take a 1 or 2 hour motorcycle trip to get coffee for breakfast. Is this true?
That is totally true.
You're insane.
And I don't just do it here in Taiwan. I also do it in other places as well. But
well, you wouldn't do that in Ukraine.
Actually, no. I am crazy enough to say I probably would, even now. We only have one life, and I want to experience so many different things.
I don't see you in combat riding your motorcycle to get coffee.
Well, you'd be very surprised, probably. But, I always tell people, riding motorcycles, I started doing this when I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
The first bike I had was a Honda Monkey bike, which I've kept.
Yeah, no way.
I have a lot of difficulty in parting with motorcycles, and I end up keeping them.
Where do you get the parts for that thing?
You can still get parts.
Okay, on the internet, I guess.
Honda still makes them, so they have a department called Honda Vintage, and you can get the parts. And,
really?
Yeah, nothing can really go wrong with it except for the chain, but that's easy.
Oh, yeah, chains are interchangeable.
Each bike that I've owned, I have a certain emotional attachment to it for whatever reason.
I had a little 50cc. I remember those silly things.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were Hondas. And but what is a monkey bike?
The monkey bike came out in the late 60s in Japan. It had a different model number, but for export it was called the monkey bike.
Oh, no.
And it was kind of like the kind of motorcycle that if you go to the circus, little midgets would be circles,
right.
Clowns would be riding around on. And I got that when it was given to me as secondhand present when I was like 14 years old.
Right.
And I was like, ooh, fun. When I went out when I was 14, that bike had no indicators, so I had to learn hand signals.
Right.
And because it was under 50cc.
Under 50?
It's, yes, 49cc. You didn't need a license for it.
Oh my God.
I couldn't go on the main roads, but I used to take the back canals going to school and everything on it.
Sure, but where would you park it without being laughed at by the other kids? Or did they think it was
Well, the thing is,
cool?
I'm like, you don't have one.
Right.
So,
just throw it in somebody's trunk,
Yeah.
Car trunk, and nobody would know it was there.
But the thing, like I said, I have an emotional attachment to all the bikes that I've had, so I end up keeping them. I find it very difficult to sell them.
You store them in your home back in the U.S.?
Well, I have some I'm not American, don't forget.
I'm sorry. You're so much more intelligent than I am. Of course you're not American.
No, very funny. Being from the Netherlands, I have space there. I also have some bikes that I keep here in storage, bikes that I acquired in Taiwan. I find it very difficult to get rid of them because each one has a memory of a place that I went to or how I was maybe feeling at the time when I was riding it.
Well, see, I don't want to do that. I mean, like it's an old song. It takes you back to your breakup with that beautiful woman, and you're like, oh, I don't want to hear this song. Or, I don't
I'm not the kind of person that holds on to that kind of memory, but each one I have fond memories of. And there's one bike that I had that I bought it. It's a Royal Enfield Classic 500, which I bought in 2017.
Here?
Here.
Okay. This is an Enfield?
Enfield, yeah.
Sounds like a rifle. Enfield.
Well, they used to call it, well, the company used to make rifles during the First World War.
Right, okay.
But this bike is a pain. It breaks down all the time. It always leaks oil. I spend more time tinkering in it, trying to get it working, but I can't part with it.
Right. That was the joke we used to say about Harley Davidson, that they gave you something to do on the weekend. Fix them.
Every weekend, but
you're supposed to go riding. But why don't you just get rid of it? You have no memory, positive, happy memory.
No, the thing is, I do.
Screaming at it.
I do, because one of the things that's actually a lot of, people that ride, I'm not talking about, some people that ride scooters, but people that ride the real motorcycles in Taiwan, one of the things that everybody loves doing is traveling around Taiwan in less than 24 hours.
Is that like a hobby or something? Like everyone has to do this to be a man or a woman or
no? I mean,
a rite of passage.
For me, I've done this trip a few times, right? And for me, it's really for my own. It's just really for my own mental health.
You have problems, I know.
Yeah, but I mean, it is for my own mental health, because if the last time I went around Taiwan I did it a better time, 23.2 hours. It gives me a lot of time to think about things that from last year or things that I'm going to be working on during that time, and to be able to put everything in perspective. And I'll finish that trip only stopping really for fuel and just like a 5-minute bite to eat, feeling completely refreshed, tired, but refreshed.
Okay.
I mean, most people that are avid motorcycle riders like myself I'll tell you, especially there's a lot of organizations for men's mental health, that this is one of the best ways.
I think bicycling would be safer, or maybe a motorcycle. You zone out, which means you're in a zone in your mind. And you're not really paying attention to the road. And next thing you know, there's one of those blue trucks they have here.
Well, I mean, look, part of it is at the same time. I mean, look, if something is too safe for me, I'm not going to do it, because I will find it boring. I need the challenge that's there. So like this Enfield bike, I did an around trip on Taiwan with it, and the funniest thing happened. I left at 5:30 in the morning on a Saturday. Went to Bali, got on the number 61 expressway, going 64. Is 64 or 61 going south?
I'm sure 61. I'm sure we'll get a letter.
So I passed Taiwan. I'm doing about 90 kilometers an hour, and I passed Taiwan, and then beautiful sunny day, and I just kind of looked down at my Speedo, and the front headlight, I can see it detaching from the bike, moving forward and forward and forward, and it just literally fell off onto the expressway, gone, and I just kept going, pulled over.
Oh my, what?
And I mean, what can I do? I just laughed. So then
Lucky you didn't lose a wheel.
Well, that's another story. But so I actually just got off at the next exit and found any kind of. I actually went to, here in Taiwan, they have these shops which are 24 hours a day.
Bicycle shops.
No,
right?
No. These stores that are 24 hours a day, and they sell everything from detergent to mosquito repellent to tools.
S&L or L&S?
I don't remember. There's quite a few of them. Yeah. And I went in there and I bought a big flashlight with a USB charger and used surgical tape to tape it to the front of the bike and continued the rest of my trip.
Oh my God. And the police were probably like,
I can show you the pictures because I have them on my phone.
Oh, we believe you. You bought a flashlight, probably made, in a cheap factory somewhere in the jungles of Burma, and you taped it. Was it? You say it's surgical tape
that they sold at the same store,
And the battery, you don't know how long the battery's going to last. I mean,
then I'll worry about it then. I mean, I don't worry about these things. I mean,
and you're still alive.
And the thing is, somebody asked me when I ride around in Taiwan, do I ride alone by myself
Right.
or with other people. I always say by myself, and I've always preferred riding by myself.
Not in a group where
No, not at all.
you can all stop and get ice cream and talk and have
No.
fun. Well, you really are boring.
Well, no, but there's a reason for that. There have been times where I did a couple, I think 3 or 4 trips in Taiwan with a couple of other people.
Right.
And it drove me nuts because, can we stop for a second? I want to use the bathroom. Oh, can we do this? Can we do this? Oh, I'm feeling so tired now. Oh my God, it's going to rain. Just complain.
Why are they on a motorcycle?
Well, that's the thing, you know? I mean, especially at this time of year in Taiwan, we get a lot of rain.
Oh, yeah.
And I just
call 'em
spent...
thunder boomers.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I just spent
Lord.
the last 4 days riding up and down the east coast of Taiwan.
Oh, great.
And in the thunder and lightning.
Well, you're not afraid, obviously.
Well, I mean...
I'm taking shelter just to keep from being hit by lightning.
But the thing is, you see, like, you know, motorcycling in Taiwan, like, I know there's a lot of people will complain about how bad the roads are here and how people drive here. But I have to be honest, first time I came to Taiwan in the 1990s, it was every man for himself and was a disaster.
Yes. The improvements in Taiwan, oh my gosh.
Dramatic, dramatic.
You have no idea, folks. When I got here in 1997, the sidewalks are dangerous. I mean, they were up and down, and they were not. And they finally fixed all of them here in Taipei, but you still find them in Kaohsiung and small towns and places where you really got to watch yourself.
Well, but it's nothing like it was in the 1990s.
No,
you know, and I've told people, I said,
no.
I can think of
Great
I can think of at least a dozen places that are way worse. Taiwan riding a motorcycle in 2024 is like Switzerland compared to what it was like in the 1990s.
Sure, I agree totally.
But so many people complain and whine about it. And, you know, when I take my bike out and I'm traveling around Taiwan, I don't want to have somebody complaining about every little single thing in my ear all the time.
You're wearing those microphones? Or
we have a
those
Bluetooth
earplugs?
Communication set.
Well, turn it off.
Well, no, I did better than that one year. I just like, okay, I'll see you at the next place. And I just drove off by myself.
A rendezvous. We call that a rendezvous.
And I was having a gin and tonic 5 hours before they did, you know? But in Taiwan...
Gin and tonic.
Yeah, that is my drink of choice, gin and tonic.
On a motorcycle, you know.
Well, not riding, I should say. Even though I will admit it, because I don't care, I actually did do that in Kazakhstan.
Where's tell the audience where that is.
Kazakhstan is one of the Central Asian republics next to Russia. It used to be part of the Soviet Union.
Used to be, yes.
And when I went riding there, I mean, there are no rules. And we said, let's have a drink while we're doing it. But the thing is, it was legal by Kazakhstan law because it was not on the road. Okay. So if we'd been riding on the road, we would have been pulled over by the police.
Sure.
And the police saw us, and we said, my friend had some broken Russian, because they speak Russian there. And he said, the police said, we can't do anything because you're not riding on the road, you're riding in the dirt area.
Well, yeah. It makes perfect sense.
But, you know, here in Taiwan, there's, you know, the last 4 days I was riding up and down the East Coast. When I came back to Taipei, this is something that I experienced within 3 hours. I experienced 3 different types of weather, all within 3 hours. So there's a road that goes from Yilan. It's the number 9. It goes right up over the mountains and then into Taipei. Left Yilan. Beautiful blue skies. Very nice, comfortable weather for a weekday morning. It was 27 degrees, no humidity, because Yilan is right by the Pacific Ocean. And as I'm going up the number 9, the weather changed. The temperature dropped. It was 27, 28 in Yilan. Then it dropped to 24. And then I was riding in fog. You couldn't see the blue sky had just gone.
Yeah, I know. The fog is horrific.
Like a little bit of a mist
in the mountains.
It was like just experiencing a whole different weather that I experienced like just 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
And then right to the top was windy, cloudy and windy.
Okay.
And then as I was coming back down on the other side, blue skies again and temperatures of 34.
Yeah, because the mountains are just Yeah, it just changes. They call it the spine of Taiwan.
Yeah.
Both sides can be radically different. Yeah, that's why surfing is so popular on the East Coast.
Yeah, the water's beautiful.
Blue and dangerous
Yeah.
too. Oh my God.
Well, I went in the water myself. I'm not afraid of that.
Okay. You don't surf.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
I'm bad. I'm terrible. It's
So-
like my legs go up here, my head goes up here. The surfboard is another place. But
I never tried it.
it's fun actually. It can be tiring, but the thing about traveling in Taiwan though is, even though all the time that I've been here, I always come across something that's very interesting. Which is the reason why, for example, when I do travel around Taiwan, I don't look at tourist guides or anything like that.
Oh, why not? It makes it easier, and you see more, maybe.
Nope. I prefer, here's a road, where does it go?
So you just dive in. Yeah, I get the idea of just having adventures. I guess I'm more worried about ending up in a bad place. Dangerous.
You could cross the street and get hit by a car. I never really think about that, because if I thought about that, I wouldn't do anything.
Well,
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and I've always lived like that. I've always gone to the edge as much as possible.
I'm a risk taker. My previous job working with, those folks, military, and sure, but it was always work. It wasn't intentional. I'm not going to jump out of a helicopter for no reason.
Well, you see, with me, it's what keeps me going.
Right.
Like there's one place now that for the last 10, 11 years, I go once a year. So there's a very popular hot spring area outside of Taipei called Wulai.
Yes, we've been there. It's a
Beautiful place.
Right. Wulai.
Now, before you get to Wulai itself, there's a bridge that crosses this river. You just turn right, and then you turn left, and you follow the road for about maybe another 35, 40 minutes. The road it starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And the road ends right in an Aboriginal tribe village.
Then what do they do to you then?
Well, it's funny because
They
go
welcome
there.
you, or they
Well, I go there once a year. There's one cafe there,
Oh,
and I go there once a year. And it's really funny because like I said, I only go there once a year. And when I show up, they're like, "Oh, we haven't seen you for a year." Of course, I say I come here
they know
once a year.
exactly who you are, what you drink.
Yeah. And the fascinating thing is now when I go back, because I'm planning to probably go there next month. But every time that I go back now, somebody in the village invites me to their place for dinner.
Oh. Are they taking turns or?
No, it's like a communal thing. And I mean, and it's one of those really, you don't see too many of them now, but there are some people in the village who are very old that have the tattoos all on the face.
Yeah.
Which is a very rare thing to see now. And there's a couple of people there, and some of them, like their great grandparents, maybe 4 generations back, were headhunters.
Of course. Not all the tribes were headhunters.
Not all of the tribes.
A lot of folks don't know they have a very vibrant, colorful Aborigine culture here that they celebrate now.
Yeah.
And good for them,
So you see, this is one of those places that you will not find in a tourist guide.
This reminds me of a book I read, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. I don't know if you've ever read it. A man named Persig wrote it, and it was a combination of what he learned in philosophy and taking a road trip with his son on a motorcycle. And they didn't use a map. They just knew they were going west, and they just stayed. And they would do the same thing. They would get off the highway. They'd take these roads that went through small towns, and then they would get on gravel roads, and finally it just ended up in the middle of nowhere. And
I've been on so many different interesting trips here. Now, the bike that I use the most is a Honda CBR Honda CB 1000R Black Edition. It's a street bike, and it's also, you can use it as a racing bike. So this bike, this is the one I use the most. But there was one trip that I did. I took my Honda CRV 300, which is really for off-roading. And I wanted to find some of the original roads in Taiwan that maybe have not been used in 50, 60 years.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
The most fascinating ride. And I found one that actually goes from Taipei to Yilan. It's all broken. Parts are missing. Okay. They still have the original markers that were put there during the Japanese period. It's not on Google Maps.
Okay.
And to get to Yilan, if I take the number 9, it's about an hour and a half or less if I go really fast. But this road took over 8 hours.
Right.
And it was the most fascinating thing. And I'm riding going, okay, I better check in. I checked the marker. It's in Japanese and Chinese. Some of them are broken, fallen down, but there's still a few that are still by the road. Parts of the road have been washed out over time through mudslides and earthquakes and everything. But it was absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
No villages along the way? Or?
You can tell where there were settlements previously.
Right, okay, abandoned.
But those settlements have been abandoned probably in the 1940s or 50s. But it was really fascinating.
Right. We were talking earlier about some, I'm fascinated as you are, as some of the old structures here, and you said that ceramics here are amazing in these old houses, and that you had remodeled your kitchen, bathroom.
Yeah.
And you paid for it, to get these ceramic tiles, but in America they do this as well. They'll go into an old, and they get all the bricks.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that these old bricks are, they say, oh, they're 100 years old. Well, they got character. They're interesting.
Well, there's something that exists here that, I've had Taiwanese friends of mine that have said, I didn't know about this place. I didn't even know this existed.
Right.
There's a couple of well-known flea markets here. And a lot of these flea markets are pretty much, they're kind of like, think of a night market but with no food, right? But there's a couple of flea markets that I know towards Xindian, very difficult to find. And the things you will find there, I bought a whole dining set from the 1950s.
Right.
That was Taiwan Navy.
Really?
All original. There was 2 pieces that were chipped and a couple that were cracked.
Who cares?
But it was, I'm like, this looks, this is fascinating, right?
Yeah.
I even found some old Coca-Cola glasses.
Really?
That used to be used at what's called the American Club.
Oh, really?
In the 1960s.
All right.
Late 50s, early 60s, from the American Club from that period. And I bought the 12 of them for like less than 300 Taiwan dollars.
Have you visited any of the antique shops they have here in Taipei?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a problem that I have with some of them.
All right.
Most of the stuff is way overpriced.
Oh, yeah.
First of all.
Oh, yeah.
I was looking for, there was a project that I was doing, and we needed for this interior set that we were working on, we needed to get an antique sewing machine.
You can still find those, yeah.
Well, the price that they wanted was $15,000 for a Singer from the 1950s. I'm like, no. I went onto eBay and I bought one for $35.
This is not, it's electric? Or,
no, non-electric.
Like the one my mother used.
Foot operated.
I actually used it myself a few times. Simple, seems like it. Yeah, it doesn't. My wife bought a sewing machine she never uses. It looks like it came from the movie Star Trek. It's got dials and computers, and I'm like, you're never going to use this. You should start out with an old paddle style.
Yeah. But like some other fascinating areas here.
Yeah.
Hualien, which has a very big military base.
Hualien is a mix of, it's got saunas, spas. Yeah, you're right.
military base. There's also a big Aboriginal community that's there.
Yes, huge.
And there is even, which again, this is something I never would have found out if I hadn't been riding motorcycles through Hualien. But there used to be a research center for Taiwan's space program.
Oh, they do have a space program here. Yeah.
It was an old research center. And it was the most extraordinary thing. And the thing I like about, say, going through the mountains here, it's what you can find in the mountains. These little hidden gems, like these 4-star level restaurants and 4-star level cafes in the most unusual place in the mountains.
Right. And the rich go there, I suppose.
Well, no, they're not the rich that go there. It's people like me who are crazy, and look for all this stuff.
That's a sign outside, crazy people, 4-star.
One of there's so many fascinating places. Like I've had Taiwan friends of mine say, "Oh, you should go check out this place." They go check out this place, and they say, "Oh, there's a night market." And I said, "Time out." I said, "For me, I've seen one night market. I've seen them all. I'm not interested anymore. I want to see something more unusual and unique." So Kenting, which is a very popular destination in the summertime.
Port.
Yeah. A lot of people there go to the beach.
I didn't really think it had a beach. I thought it was mostly a port facility.
No, there's quite a big popular beach there. It's packed at this time of year.
What is just Kenting Beach, or is it?
Well, there's one section that's beach, right? And it's very touristy.
Okay.
And at nighttime, the whole area turns into one big night market.
Oh, wow. All right.
And I was just like, well, no. So I decided when I went to Kenting to go on the east coast of the area. Way more fascinating. And found a kind of a resort area that when you looked at everything, you thought you were like on a coconut island or something, and very kind of like coconut palm trees, like the very stereotypical image that people get of a beach thing.
Yeah.
A few little shops, a beach that nobody really wants to go to because if you have a car, you can't get to it, right? And the beach is completely deserted. There was like some surfers that were there and a few other people like myself, and it was absolutely fantastic because there's nobody else around.
I'm sure the surfers loved it.
Yeah.
Nobody's there.
And the water was just absolutely beautiful. And these are the kind of things that I like to find in Taiwan. I mean, I found a cinema one time. A cinema, literally in the middle of nowhere in the mountains near Nantou.
Okay.
Private-owned cinema. And
was it a second run or?
Not even. It was a guy who had this old building. I think he was he wasn't Taiwanese. That is for sure. I think he maybe been from Singapore. And he rented this building, and it's a cafe. And then at nighttime, he turns it into a cinema, and they screen films like The Maltese Falcon.
Really? See, I've been looking for big screen places like
on this big projector.
Just see the old ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally in the middle of nowhere. It is in the middle of nowhere.
Wow. Who goes to this?
Other motorcycle riders like myself.
I mean, is it full? Is it like empty,
he only opens Saturdays and Friday nights and Saturdays.
So everyone can sort of schedule?
Yeah, and you go there Friday, Saturday nights. And especially when the weather's nice in the summertime, you'll maybe always find like 30 or 40 motorcycles outside.
And, oh man, if I could just watch the Maltese Falcon and any of those classic Humphrey Bogart films. I was fortunate enough to see Casablanca on the big screen when I was in college. And wow, what a different film. The television version. I don't know why they don't have a cinema like that here that just shows.
There used to be.
All right.
There used to be a long time ago. But I love going to the cinema. I really love the cinema a lot. And I always prefer watching a film on a large screen. But there's so many films that don't really interest me. I'm not interested in any superhero films because they're all the same.
No.
But you see, the problem here, what's kind of happened, and this is rather, it's a bit sad. This is where Taiwan, I think, lacks behind, especially in cinema, going to the cinema. Now, I can think of cinemas back home, right, where they're still projecting films from 35 millimeter prints that they get from a distributor.
Right, okay.
And sometimes the prints are always not perfect.
No.
And you can see like where they had to maybe splice parts together because the projector damaged the film and everything. None of the cinemas here anymore have analog, regular projectors. They've all gone digital. And getting those films let's say, something like Casablanca or The Maltese Falcon or The Sound of Music or The Sand Pebbles as a digital print, is going to be very expensive.
Wow.
So that's why they don't really show it. But, there's another, up in the mountains, in Yanmingshan Mountains, there's a cafe it's called Cinema.
Okay.
They don't show films, but everything in the cafe is related to cinema. It's an extraordinary place, just an extraordinary place. I mean, in Taiwan, this is like I said, look, when I travel around Taiwan and I use motorcycle, there's people that I know will go by car. And because the cars are too big, maybe there's certain little alleys or even paths that they can't go down for whatever reason because the car is too big, right? But like I said, I'm like, oh, where does this road go? And I go to it. And I've always found something that was surprising. I've had a few conditions where like, well, I'm stuck. I have to turn around. There's no place to turn around. And then had to push the bike backward for like an hour and a half. But I mean, that's all part of it.
Yeah, that's what the book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance is about. Trying to, getting yourself in a situation where you learn from it, but you have to accept it because that's part of life. Too many people want to live that perfect life, and in America, they're talking about therapeutic societies now, that everybody needs therapy. Everyone needs a comforting hand.
Well, I mean, the best therapy for me is taking the bike out and going out for the entire day.
Yeah.
And finding, I like I said, I'm a very curious person. So I love to find things that are new and interesting.
That's what made you a good journalist, honestly.
I never considered myself a journalist.
But you're honest and you're fair. That's a journalist.
I consider myself a broadcaster more than a journalist.
Yeah, but too many journalists have become advocates. They advocate for one side or the other, and they're not really publishing the facts. I don't know. But you're a broadcaster, and that means that you want to do everything. You want to be a producer. You want to be a director. You want to write the scripts. You want to be in it, maybe whatever. But you're learning the entire thing. Whereas today, journalists don't want to learn how to use a camera. They want to be in front of the camera. They want the makeup to be perfect. They don't know what they're talking about.
No, but I think that's the case with many professions today.
Yeah.
A friend that I grew up with, because we went to school together. We are the same age, and he got a summer job. I mean, it wasn't our generation, right? Because we're almost the same age. It wasn't unusual when you're like maybe 13 years old, the summertime, get a part-time job to make a little bit of extra money.
Yeah, I did. A paper route. I worked in a farming community. Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
But, he got a job in, there used to be a chain of music stores called HMV. I don't know if they ever had them in the U.S., but they were there was a British chain, His Master's Voice, which was RCA. They had them in the UK. They had them all across Europe. They had also here in Taiwan. They had them for a while, and it was a music store.
All right.
And he got a part-time job there in the summer, and I think
What was the name of this place?
HMV.
Okay, wasn't the other one that was?
So it was Tower. Tower Records.
There was Tower. It was
Yeah.
really famous for a while. But
Yeah.
this is before that.
Well, it was around the same time.
All right.
But HMV was a little bit older as a company. I think he got like working 1 day a week on the weekends or something. And, now he owns his own music shop, right? And he was doing, what was he doing? He was doing, stocking the shelves. The most bottom of the barrel thing.
Yeah, we're not.
And I'm the type, even because I also want to experience so many different things. Something that I will do occasionally is I go and I volunteer at the Ban Chao Animal Shelter.
All right, interesting. A lot of people would enjoy hearing more about that.
And the Ban Chao, again, because I love animals. I have dogs and I have cats. I have a very big turtle, and I've always
Wait a minute, you have a turtle too?
a turtle, yeah.
How
really,
big a turtle is this?
He is big.
Wait a minute, how big is that? When you say big, it makes me nervous.
In Dahan Park, there's some turtles that they have in the park.
It has no cockroaches in your apartment at all.
No, the cats eat those. The cats eat those. But if you go to Dahan Park, they have a small kind of lake, and there's some turtles in there, quite big.
Yeah,
that kind of
big. How do you? These are water turtles.
These are water turtles, yeah.
What kind of? How big is your water tank?
I have to replace it every 2 years.
The tank or the water?
The water, it's every 3 to 4 days.
Oh.
And the tank, because he gets bigger.
How do you get time when you're driving down for 2 hours for coffee and then you come back and I don't understand you.
Well, I don't sleep. I take care of this silly turtle.
Change the water and throw the turtles some tuna.
Yeah. But so I go and I volunteer there, and my favorite when I go to the Ban Chao Animal Shelter, right? Because they have 3 different areas. Because, for example, they have one area that are mainly younger dogs and puppies, right? That everybody kind of wants to adopt. There's another area of dogs that are very adoptable. They're not too old, right? And they're very calm. And there's one area where the dogs are violent. They will attack you. They'll bite everything. Those are the dogs that I love working with.
See, you told me you needed a challenge. You love danger, and now you're backing out. You're saying, no, I
No, but I won't. The thing is, I love those dogs. They're absolutely ferocious, right? But because I grew up around dogs my entire life.
But you won't adopt them. You won't help them.
No, I help them. I play with them when I go there, and I'll take them.
You take them home?
No, I can't take them home because they'll fight with my other dogs and cats.
I see. So a little prejudice there on your part.
Well, no, if I could, and I had the space, there's a group of them that I would love to take home.
Okay.
But the thing is, they're not very friendly. The thing is, having grown up around dogs, dogs are the kind of animals, like I have one, okay, if you look here at my arm, you see this bite here? That's from a dog bite.
My God.
It's like a huge
folks, this
chunk
looks
of skin.
How big would you say that is in Taiwanese?
It's about 2 centimeters.
Oh, my God.
I have another one on this knee.
Okay.
Now, this was one dog at the Ban Chao Animal Shelter. His name was Nanook.
Yeah, I see. He gets a name because he attacked you. The other dogs don't.
But he is my favorite dog there.
Because he attacked you.
Well, what happened was, a lot of people, I've been bitten by dogs so often. A lot of people will get afraid. I'm not afraid. So when he bit me, he's bitten me twice. And they said, are you sure? I said, I want to deal with him. He has to realize who the boss is, who his leader is.
I think he knows who the boss is.
Well, now he is so friendly with me. He doesn't like anybody else, but I was tough on him. He only has 3 legs because one of his legs was bitten by a snare trap when they found him in the mountains. So he has 3 legs.
I don't know, man. I just 3-legged dog, who attacks people. And his name's Lucky, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, now when I go there once every 2 weeks, right? He sees me, he gets so excited, and even the other ones there were a problem that some of the other volunteers didn't want to get involved with. They said I'm the one who deals with the problem children. I said, yeah,
Oh my God.
You know, because he's an interesting dog. You know, it's like there's an old Peter Sellers joke. Peter Sellers walks into a hotel, and the hotel clerk is behind, and he says, "Does your dog bite?" And the hotel clerk says, "No," and he bites Peter Sellers, and Peter says, "You said your dog doesn't bite." He says, "That is not my dog."
And with that, we're going to close for this episode of Fantastic Formosa. We're going to have him, Keith Perron, back on in a few minutes. Actually, for the next episode. And stick around. All right, cheers.